Hey there, and welcome to the Bold Badass Business Show, where we bring you badasses from all over the globe. Today, coming in from Canada, we have Susan Jarema, the amazing co-founder of Grand Connection, which I will admit is one of my two favorite networking organizations. So you all want to listen carefully today, because there is a really cool gift coming at the end, a special gift just for you. Well, Susan has her own marketing agency. She has worked with people since 1995, long before Google. She specializes in launching ventures and SEO and connecting people with what they need. And she calls herself an internetologist. I love that. That's fabulous. So I'm really thrilled to have my friend and colleague, Susan Jarema, here. Welcome, Susan.
Hi, nice to be here. And you're the first person that's called me a badass today, Barnsley.
Well, listen, we should all be called a badass at least once a day. It's a lot better than some of the other B words.
Yeah,
That's good.
It's a good one.
Yeah, we don't want those words that rhyme with ditch. No. But I'm super glad you're here. And Susan, I want to ask you, what was the moment? Let's just go back in time to kind of younger Susan. I don't know how far you want to go back, but let's go back to that moment where you said, you know what? I really love business and I really love marketing, and just tell people a little story about how you knew you'd be in business for yourself.
You know, I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. Business was spoken around the dinner table more than any other topic. So I just always thought I'd be in business. I didn't really know there would be another way. I kind of had an artsy bend to me. I wanted to be an artist as well. I thought I'd be an artist and that would be my business. So I started off, quite young, doing a lot of artsy things. We used to make plays and sell tickets. So events. I'm doing events online. Who knew that you'd be going online? But so we did that in the neighborhood and made the props and everything and recruited people. And it was a lot of fun and learning. And then, I made t-shirts for a while and painted them and sold them. I had to get a tax number for that. I was pretty young doing that. Cool. Of course, babysitting, paper routes, all the things that you did when you were little to make money, because, you needed money.
Not everybody does that.
Well, I did not get a very big allowance, Barnsley.
That's a blessing. I want to say that is a blessing, because I'll tell you right now, there is the entitlement generation. And I am really, sometimes when I think, gosh, I started my first business at age 9, I think, wow, it's been hard. But then I think, oh no, I'm privileged because I got to make it on my own. Right. And that is an incredible thing, even not having so much allowance, you went after it, which is amazing. How old were you when you started that first business? Do you remember?
I don't know, maybe 12, that one.
12? Yeah.
But I mean, we had a lemonade stand when I was really little. Like we did that. Yeah. We lived on a busy street. So the lemonade stand was it was lucrative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lots of people walk by
100-degree weather like we do in North Carolina right now. I mean, I walk outside and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sweating in 5 seconds.
Well, I'm from Winnipeg. I don't know if you've ever been there, anybody listening, but we did not have the lemonade stand in the winter. It's Winnipeg, and it was a lot of very cold. Nobody stopped then, but I did snow shoveling. You would get, go around to the neighbors and say, hey, do you need your driveway shoveled? And that would be a way to make some money too. I mowed lawns. I picked blueberries. I mean, you did anything you could for $1.
Yeah, I love it. And that's that entrepreneurial spirit. And it sounds like you really absorbed that from your family, which is a real gift, because so many people are raised in these families that work, 9 to 5s. And so when they want to start a business, it's like, you're going to do what?
Yeah.
You're going to do what? And they may be the naysayers instead of the yaysayers.
Get a real job.
Yeah, get a real job, right? Oh, my lands. I remember a student of mine. It was one of my ESL students years ago, because when I finished my PhD, I did teach ESL for a little bit after I ended my professorial stuff while I was building my business. And I remember he said to me, do you really think people are going to want that? And I said, yes, I do. And I loved it that about 4 years later, he apologized.
Aw.
Yeah, he said, I apologize. I said something and I really shouldn't have, and you've really made this work. So that was one of those moments that I said, yeah, yep, yep, yep.
Yeah.
And he went into business for himself down the road. So you just never know how we're gonna open up something new for someone else who maybe has never even thought about being an entrepreneur. Um, so let me ask you this, Susan. And today we are talking about 5 marketing money wasters. I love this. Who wants more money? We all do, so that we can give more and do more and get that bucket list done before we kick the bucket. But 5 marketing money wasters that are draining your brain. I love that. Draining your brain and your bank account. So let's just hop in. What would you say is the worst marketing money waster out there
Yeah,
that you've
yeah,
seen?
I knew you were going to say which is the worst. I really, so anyone listening, there's 5, and I actually have bonus ones because as I started praying, I'm like, well, this is also wasting money. And my partner and I, we were talking about it in the car yesterday, and I like so many came up of ways people are wasting money that you see because Barnsley, we've been in this business of working with entrepreneurs for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I started training entrepreneurs in before my kids were born, so 95 around
Yeah.
then. So that's a long time ago. I finished up my MBA then, and went on to doing some training and teaching at the university and the college nearby, and you see it all, right? I'll start with one that I think is a big one that it's prevalent across everyone is the poor messaging.
Mm.
So you don't have a clear value or emotional reason to buy. So so an example I think about is like, I've had lots of different clients, but one might be somebody like a wellness coach, for example. They list off all their certifications
Yeah.
and what they're trained in and all this, but we don't know what's the reason I need to buy
Yeah.
this
What's
for.
the result that
Yeah.
you'll get?
So they do that. It should, having something where you could actually, transform and say like, wake up pain free and be energized to do what you love, something that really catches people's attention and they can feel that would lead to bigger results than that's just the list.
Be
So, and
able to run after your grandchildren.
yeah,
Be able
yeah,
to keep
yeah.
up with your grandkids and take them to Disney World and ride all the rides for 12 hours. That creates an emotional resonance. And, I like your example, Susan, because I've heard so many people talk about, well, I'm a wellness coach. I help people eat better. And it's like, oh, I've heard all that before. So I just want to say to everybody listening, be different. Dare to be different. Dare to stand out because that's absolutely necessary right now.
Oh, I know. And I'm at the Grand Connection. My role as a Grand Connector is to try to make connections within the community. And I have my mini meets and we get together and I everybody introduces themselves. We go through and we talk about our why. I ask them your why because I want to know what's the passion, what makes you different in that way. And then we go from the why to what makes you memorable and stand out. And a lot of members, when they first come into the community, aren't quite clear on all of this.
Mm-mm.
And then you're like, I need to know really what makes you different and unique and stand out so that you come top of mind when I'm thinking about somebody. I'm going to refer to somebody else that gets to meet you. And if you all just sound like I'm a wellness coach, that does that I've got my certification and I'm a functional nutritionist, that everybody says that.
Exactly. It's horrible. And we should never define ourselves by our role, right? Now, I would not say I'm the badass business coach and leave it at that. I would say I help spiritual, big hearted entrepreneurs soar into 6 figures and more so they can be bigger givers in the world. I'm Dr. Bardsley Brown, the badass business coach. But see, people will start out like with the title, and people have already cut off when they hear that. They're already like, I'm not listening. You know
Yeah.
what, Susan? I'm thinking I need to do a workshop on this because I've heard so many boring ass introductions that I need to do something for Grand Connection about this because I have 3 different templates that I love to work with my clients, and
Yeah.
they never have a boring introduction.
Oh, that sounds exciting. And we actually created a GPT assistant that helps you craft a
Love it.
memorable introduction too. So it brings it, you can do a funny one, you can do one that's a metaphor, just ask it, ask it what you want to do. And we should add in, do a Barnsley Brown badass one
Do
into
a
there.
Barnsley Brown badass intro
Yeah.
because you are soporific. Everybody's falling asleep listening to you. So stop it. Just stop it now. I'm telling you, I have heard so many shitty. Yeah, we can curse on here, by the way, Susan. We're badasses, right? I have heard so many crappy intros, and you think, oh my gosh, no wonder this person isn't really making money.
Yeah.
And sadly, there are so many people out there who are not making money. All right. And I know that's not the case for a lot of the grand connectors, but some of the newbies are, they really need someone to take them. That little intro is like a thesis for your whole business.
Yeah.
You know how you had a thesis when you were doing your 5-paragraph essays, Do you remember that? This is like the kernel, the womb of your business, so to speak. Anyway. All right. So number 1 is like messaging that sucks.
Yeah, and the messaging is it's many ways in the messaging. So like it's a total workshop you could be doing on that one. Oh
that is so good. Yeah, we could just do it like a summit for 3 days.
Here's number 2. Number 2 is a good one.
Okay, let's hear it.
Staying too long on what's not working.
Wait, hold up. You mean like, trying something, investing in it, and after 6 months, nothing's happening?
Yeah, and doing something that's not like, if it's not working, yeah. So staying too long on what's not working. So for example,
what's too long, Susan? How much is too long? Some people stay for 25 years in a marriage that sucks,
Well, this could apply to that too, or in a relationship that doesn't work. We've all had that in our lives, right?
But your business is a marriage, so some people would be like,
yeah, your business, it totally is. And you know what? I've had I don't know, 5 or 6 businesses in my life that I call, besides the little ones and here and there and projects and stuff. But and one of them, I say I stayed way too long. I stayed too long on it. It wasn't making enough money. It was draining me. It was emotionally draining. You become attached to that business or that idea. It becomes who you are. It's not who you are.
It's not who you are.
Get unattached from that so that you can move on to the things that are going to work for you and to inspire you and work. And like, I also see, like, so you could be stuck in one business that's not working for way too long and you shouldn't be doing. Now, maybe you need to talk to a coach like Barnsley and figure out, is it working or not, because of it's not the right thing. And I need to just pivot and do something totally different. It's not aligned with what I want to be doing or my skill set or whatever, or maybe the market it's just not working. I used to have music CDs. I was one of my business. Well, what happened?
Yeah, no more CDs.
No more CDs, and everyone was copying them. It did not matter. My educational CDs were no longer selling, and I get 1 cent now when they download on Spotify. It's kind of silly.
Susan, you know what? I have a whole bunch of CDs, and they're my Get Fired Up collection, and some are downloadable, right? They're they're electronic, but I have physical ones. I still have these, and I was thinking, what am I going to do with these? I really think I'm going to take them the next time I speak at my church, and I'm going to like put them on for $20 and let people give it to the youth group or something, because I need them out of my closet. They need to go.
I don't even know when anyone's going to pay $20 because they don't have a player.
Oh yes, they will, because it goes to the youth group.
Okay, all right.
And, there's 6. There's
do you have a player? Do you have a CD
5?
player?
Oh, right. Well, that's the issue. Well, they can do it in their. They can put it in their computer, or they can put it in their car. Hopefully.
My car doesn't take CDs
Some of the
anymore.
people at my church are older, so they probably still have a CD player. I do. Okay. I admit I do have one. I even remember cassette tapes, and I remember 8-tracks. I had my own 8-track player when I was in high school. So y'all know we ain't no spring chickens here. But the point being is business evolves. And maybe the business, I realized recently, Susan, that the business I started, it's so different from what I do now, but I realized I was getting bored with my business, and I had another coach look at it. I invested in her looking at it. And in one session, she just gave me this new way of framing it that I'm super excited about, that feels congruent with who I am now. And so I would say to everybody, even if you've been in business a long time, there are probably things in your business that just really need to evolve, and you may be bored. So it's time to put the magic back in.
Well, and right now the world's changing super fast. So
yes, it
everybody
is.
is really re-looking at their business, doing an audit, what's working, what's not working, where are the gaps, what do I need to change, where's the world going? We know it's all going, a lot of AI is happening.
Yes.
Things that you were doing the old ways are no longer working. Everything's moving online. I mean, that's happened over the last decade, but it's a big change, and you could be stuck on either little things in your business or the whole thing, and you need to pivot and do that. And I'd say another example I see is people spending a lot of time on something. I know you got a show and a podcast.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people with podcasts they're doing, and they come to me and they say, well, it's not really making me any money. I'm just spending a lot of time on it. And a lot of people quit their podcasts.
Oh, yes.
We have coaches in our community that actually know strategically, and I know you would probably be teaching that
I've
as well.
monetized.
How to monetize your podcast, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of content out there. But if you don't do something in the right way with the strategy and purpose, thinking about the end backwards, what's the goal? What's the end result? I want to sell this. So that podcast needs to lead towards that. Or I want to meet these people.
Exactly. And that's
leads
been
towards
mine.
that.
Mine is just like, it's purely, I want to promote great people doing great work on the planet.
Mhm.
That is it. And the beauty is that, I created a really different sponsorship package. It's different from anything I've ever seen. And I have the VIP sponsors. And so really that, the podcast pays for itself, but it does require time. And I do have a VA that I pay to take care of some of the things. And so, it's true. A lot of people start and they think it's going to be this short-term strategy. No, podcasting is a long-term strategy, and it really is a strategy for visibility and connection more so than sales. Yeah. But there are ways to monetize. Absolutely.
Well, I know a lot of people that their podcast, they get clients directly from the podcast.
Yes.
It totally works, and it is their best strategy, or podcast guesting. But
my guests have gotten clients, Susan. I'm happy to say my guests have had thousands of dollars of business come from being on here. So it really is about the quality of what you bring, and also making sure that your messaging is there. So mine is the Bold Badass Business Show. We're not going to sit around and talk nice about what everybody talks about in business. We're going to have a little contrarian view. We're going to tell you the things to avoid, because they won't work. So I love that. That's great. So we've got two. What about number one was, again, messaging, making sure your messaging is really clear.
It's your core messaging.
Yeah.
And number two, staying too long on something that's not working.
Yeah.
So number three is chasing vanity metrics over real results.
Woo, I love that.
So I see this all the time. People want to be famous. They want to have their big list. Oh, I've got 10,000 followers on Instagram. Okay, yeah,
How much are you making from that?
Any sales on that? I actually used to have over 100,000 followers on Twitter. It didn't bring me any business.
Yeah.
So I mean, it does a little bit here and there. I have gotten some, and I guess there's some clout to it, and you get some credibility because you know what you're doing to do that. But I still, you have to have the proper funnels in place that's actually going to bring you the results. And likes aren't anything. What is it? You can't deposit likes at the bank. I mean, no. it's not currency, but it can be used in part of your strategy. But if that's all you're focusing your time on, that's not going to be a good use of your energy. Think through the strategy of, this is my value, this is my product I have, and what's that little funnel that I'm going to get know, like, and trust happen through that funnel, and someone's going to buy from me. Yes. And then refer me afterwards. That's it. It's so simple.
And having something that is so attractive that people want it. Yeah. And, that may indeed be a free offer, a complimentary offer at the beginning, so that that relationship can be built, can be nurtured, right?
Oh
Getting
yeah,
to know
it's
each other.
you're not going to marry somebody on the first date, right?
No,
So
hopefully not.
or
Unless
other
you're in
things,
Las
what you might
Vegas.
say.
You're in Las
So
Vegas, and we don't know, but yeah, this is very true. And vanity metrics, right? Just looking at the number of impressions, we need to look at how is this contributing to your business? How is whatever it is that you're doing contributing to your business? And is it a short term or a long term strategy? That's so important to understand, because I see coaches teaching people strategies that are for folks who've been in business a lot longer. And they're
yeah,
teaching this to newbies, and it won't work.
yeah.
It won't work at that stage in business.
Well, I'd say that's one of my bonus ones is you're not aligned with the right business stage of your strategy,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
And then, it doesn't matter. It's not you. It's that you're trying to do something and you need something that's going to bring in money quickly, or you're not going to be in business. Right.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of really erroneous information out there. And sadly, there is no cookie cutter. There are different things that you want to be doing at different stages of your business.
Yeah,
So
well,
that
the foundational principles of getting your business going are very different than what you're doing later on to scale.
exactly. If you decide you really want to scale, right?
Yeah.
And that's a decision, because you and I were talking about this the other day. If you're going to scale and it's not going to give you the lifestyle you want, why would you do it?
There's a
But
lot of stress with scaling. Actually, I've had conversations with people about how to scale the Grand Connection, and some different options are like, no, that's going to be really a lot of work, and you're going to be really stressed out. And I'm thinking, okay, how can you scale in a way that works for you and what you want your life to be? Because this is your life, right? You don't
it's
want to
your
be
life.
ending up having a heart attack because you're working 80 hours a week and so stressed about making payroll when the economy slumps.
Mm-hmm.
That's really hard on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to really be aware of what you want at the stage of life you're in, not just the stage of business, but also asking yourself the stage of life where I am. What is it I really want? And I know for myself now, I have a new grandchild and I want to travel more.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have more fun, because I'm starting to realize I'm in the last maybe, third of my life. So I'm going to have a ball. I'm going to have my badass ball everywhere I go. But I don't want to be sitting as I did in the early stages of my business, spending hours and hours and hours. I really don't. I try to work 25 hours or less, and I usually do in my business. And that's so important. Well, I know as the co-founder of the Grand Connection networking group that there is so much that goes into that, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
you're doing that as well as your marketing firm. So how do you not have your brain drained by all of this, to come back to our title? Or is your brain, do you have a zombie brain?
Well, you know what? Yoga. I practice yoga every
No.
day, and it centers me and grounds me and reminds me what's important, that it
Yeah.
is the journey of the self, through the self, to the self. Like that
Yeah.
is yoga. And we are all learning. So I look at my business with a new lens, set of eyes that I'm looking through it, that my business is how can I make an impact in the world? How can I support and help people? How can I make their lives better and my life good? I get to learn, I get to meet new people. And if it's not doing that and it's not serving all of those things that it's enjoyable for me, that's where you say, am I doing the wrong thing? Right. So right now, I get to meet you, I get to meet people all over the world. And I absolutely love that. I keep learning. I now I didn't know how to do a live stream 5 years ago before we started the Grand Connection, because I wasn't doing that in New Earth Marketing. I was working, New Earth Marketing, we mostly serve people in environmental services and home services. So I got a lot of HVAC people, because I was a local SEO specialist. That's what I did. I built websites, got your local SEO, and I still work with that. Now I'm working with some of those clients in bigger capacities, how to scale, how to franchise, how to make a bigger impact in what you're doing, because I love it. I love that growing big and having a vision and doing that. And that's why I work with thought leaders and authors and coaches and everybody at the Grand Connection, because they're all trying to make a bigger impact in the world. So it's I manage that brain, the brain drain by just having a little bit of yoga, having good people around me in my life, taking a break. You need to go for a walk once a day, get some fresh air. Don't take it all too seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is your life. This is supposed to be fun.
It should be a game. It's a game.
It's a game. That's what I have to say.
Monopoly.
Yeah. I love Monopoly as a kid, Barnsley. That was one of my
favorites. I did too.
Yeah. Yeah. Strategy, right?
Investing in real estate because of Monopoly, but I still love Junior Monopoly. I was making my daughter play that when she's like 5. Seriously, Junior Monopoly is a little shorter than the big Monopoly. You'll love this, when we were in Peru, I even found a Monopoly that was in Lima. It had all the Lima addresses.
They have there's a lot Monopoly collectors now. So I was at the Louvre, and they have a Louvre of Monopoly. Like they're all they have them everywhere now. They're all over the place.
Just get that boardwalk. Was it boardwalk? Is that the one?
But that's not the strategy. The strategy is to get everything.
Yeah, the strategy is get it all.
Leverage, get them all. I would play with one friend, and she'd always just want boardwalk in Park Place. That's it, right?
That was it.
And so she would take the other one. She'd go around the board. She'd be in jail, whatever she's doing. And she doesn't, and she's waiting for Boardwalk Park Place. She finally has them. I have all the other properties.
Yeah.
So she can't go anywhere. And most of the time, that's only 2 spots. You usually skip that and go around, right? So how much did I have to pay rent? Not as much as she had to pay rent to me. So
for sure. Yeah. Start with what you have. People always say, I don't have money for real estate investing. Well, you can do real estate investing with REIT. You can do that. And you can, there are even little shares you can get without purchasing a place, but having like a share that costs you $10 or $15 in an actual property. There's so many ways to do that, So, Susan, what is where are we? We gave them a bonus, and I think we're on number 4, right?
We're on number 4. Okay, here's number 4 is paying for tools you don't use.
Oh, yes. Hello.
So we recently migrated at the Grand Connection over to Go High Level. We've got a lot of Go High Level agencies, Go High Level experts, VAs in our community. So if you're thinking about going into Go High Level, come talk to some of them. They're fabulous. And we also have a special offer for Go High Level for anyone who's part of the community. I don't know if you know about that, but super deal, an absolutely amazing deal. So when I moved over, I was able to cancel Calendly, Buffer. I canceled my CRM that I was currently using. I canceled my email program. I canceled DocuSign. I don't need an online course provider. I don't need a different affiliate system. We consolidated everything into Go High Level. It's giving me way more options for things that I didn't have. I added it up. It's over $2,500 a year I'm saving because it's all in this one place. So and I know what a lot of people are doing is there's a lot of new AI tools out. Talk to the people and see what they're using. You don't have to sign up for everything, and definitely just say, okay, if I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this weekend. I'm going to get the free trial, use it. I'm not going to, or 1 month if it doesn't have a free trial, and make sure you're not letting those subscriptions keep going for things you aren't using. And we have an AI group at the Grand Connection. There's all sorts of different groups based on different interests. The AI group allows us to see and talk to other people who are AI enthusiasts who are going around trying everything. So you can talk to them, see, well, this is my use case. This is what I need. What should I be using? And they will give you recommendations that's going to save you a lot of time on that. And then, a lot of people have deals too, so they can give you deals on different tools as well.
I just got with a coaching program I'm part of, I got a derivative specialized version of Go High Level included, which is awesome, free, fabulous. And I love with Grand Connection, all the things I get, like my Zoom is so much cheaper with that. There's so many things that we can get that are cheaper. So I want to bring my fabulous team member. Come, Jessica. Por favor. This is Jessica. She's my cleaning person. I need to pay her now. Samurai, come down to they say hi.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
I know now. Espectacular. She didn't know she was going to be on there. I tell you what, we all need support, right? because we got to free up our time for those things that are not money wasters. Like getting help for the things you don't enjoy doing is so very important. So tell us more about, like, subscriptions. This is where people waste so much money. Um, Apps they don't need,
Yeah.
cleaning services for their PC. I mean, there's just so much that folks don't even realize. I went through with a client of mine and she said, "Oh, I only have the essentials." I went through and she was spending well over $800 on stuff she didn't need every month. And she
Mhm.
wasn't bringing that in at that point. I said, "You have got to get rid of this. You're putting
Yeah.
yourself and your business in debt. This is
Yeah,
not
be
okay."
careful not to jump into a big tool before you have the plan around it. Somebody,
Mhm.
there's always someone trying to sell you something. So what I would suggest doing is Avital, leads one of our marketing groups. It's called the
Mhm.
Grand Martech Group. She has a strategy where she says we sit down and we look at the overall plan of what your goals are for the technology. It's not about the tool. It's about the
Mhm.
strategy and the goals you want to achieve, and to look at that whole piece of it together strategically from a higher level. So once you have that map, like, you can just sketch it out. Well, I need to connect with people here. I need a CRM. I need some way to get my lead magnet. I need to track this. I'm going to need to get some videos done. So you think about all the things you're going to do, and then start looking at the tools. And some of them can be bundled together, like Go High Level covers a whole bunch of them. There's some
A
video
lot.
tools that you could use for your podcast or whatever too. Like, it may do a whole bunch of things, or it may take and make social media content from it. So Descript, a lot of people are using that one right now. So once you have that strategy, then you're coming in. You come into the Grand Connection, and we have our times in our events where we call it the Grand Ask. I'm looking for a tool that can do this and this and this and this. And people are going to share ideas with you right away and save you a
Mhm.
lot of time. And coming to you, Barnsley, you've used a lot of
Mhm.
different tools. You lead your groups as well, and you've heard about it all. You've heard what works, what doesn't work. And I know too, the other thing is, you got your big plan. I call
Mhm.
it, like, make your bucket list of everything you want, but have the nice to haves, or the I'm going to do this later, on a little bit different column. Because what
Mhm.
you need right now probably is one thing to start getting you leads. You need a lead magnet. You need some way to capture the data. If you're using WordPress, you could do that right on WordPress. You don't even have to
Mhm.
pay for a CRM. That you could do that, and it could be saved into an Excel sheet. There's ways to just start small, see what's working, and then scale up with the tools you need as you need them. Don't jump into something too big. I meet so many people, they say, "I'm paying for Kajabi and I haven't used it in a year, and I've been paying $150 a month." Or
Mhm.
Thinkific. That's another big one. You get into it, you're all excited. It takes you way longer than you think to get that course going.
To learn stuff is crazy. That's why I hired another VA to deal with moving my stuff from one shopping cart, because they just closed their doors into this
Mhm.
Go high level version. Yes, these things take an incredible amount of time to learn. And what I've found for myself, and I'm very frugal, but I've found that there's certain things I'll subscribe to, and then it's 6 months before I get to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same,
And so
same. I mean, we've all done it, right? And you're going, "Oh dear, I didn't use that," and you get that awful feeling, like, I
yeah,
wasted it. Like when you're throwing out,
you're just
produce you
basically
didn't
flushing
use
it
in
down
the
the
fridge.
toilet. So I would say to everybody, those of you listening, do an audit. Go through your regular bills that I call them contributions, that you pay every month for your business, like your Zoom account, your CRM, maybe you have a version of Chat GPT that you pay for, or another AI. Maybe you have some editing software. I have StreamYard for the business, for the show. What are those things that you're purchasing every month? Go through and really ask yourself, do I need this? Number one, do I need it? Number two, do I need it now? Because maybe you need it, but not right now. And then number three, well, you may feel bad, but ask yourself, how much money have I wasted on it? And then, can I release this? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can save that money and reinvest it into your business.
Yeah. No, and choosing, it's a choice. You're making the choices of what's going to give me the most value. And like one of the things that my goal with the Grand Connection is to provide so much value that it's insignificant, the cost you're paying. You're going to get way more clients and business from it and ideas and cost savings than you would if you use just a couple of the tools we get deals on. That's already saving you more
You've
than
covered your membership. Yes, for sure. And just the knowledge, the amount of professional development, business development that's available there is so good for small business owners, because generally we don't have a huge training budget. At least when people start, they don't allocate that much. I know that you allocate a lot, and so do I, but that's after we've been in business, over 20 years. I'm almost 25 years in business, and you're
Well,
what?
what
How
I
many years?
find nice now is I've got a network of smart people around me.
Yeah, you can ask
And
them.
I really, I can call up you, Barnsley, and say, hey,
Yeah,
I'm struggling with this problem in my business, and get some ideas. Like you
yeah,
build your network. It's all wonderful people that we value grand giving. That's the underlying philosophy of the community, is how to be of service to other people. And we know it comes back.
yeah.
And you've got these resources around you to ask. And I may say, I've worked and hired many Grand Connection members. I've also had calls with them just for, to learn from them. They've come on stayed on at the end after an event and shared some ideas and feedback. And I've talked about a problem I'm having in any of my businesses. And I'm getting feedback, from people that are very experienced in what they do. And what's cool is everybody has their own niche and own expertise. You could talk to somebody about relationships. You could talk to somebody about, an HR problem, or maybe it's only Facebook an expert, or somebody that's using AI tools. Like we all have different various expertises, and that's where you can pull into the community to help you grow yourself in what way faster than on your own.
So I want to add a marketing money waster. Okay. And that would be investing in a networking group that doesn't offer a lot of benefits, and also not showing up consistently.
Yeah.
So if you're going to, I have carefully curated 3 groups is it 3 or more? At least 3 groups that I pay for every year. And they're carefully curated for exactly what I need. And I show up and I participate in those groups. And I may go and present at other groups, etc. But I'm consistently present at things in these groups. That is so important. So many people will pay for something and then not show up and not delve into it, or not find out what the benefits are.
Yeah, well, we have a lot. So I actually started running my Grand Plan accelerators. So it's this new lab that I'm running, and it's to come in. We built an AI assistant to help you with that too, to create a plan. But you go through you do an assessment. Where am I at in my business? What are my goals? What are my goals over the next 6 months? Maybe it's lead generation. Maybe I want to build my list. Maybe I need to get some connections in these spaces. So we really fine tune with clarity who you want to meet, and what sort of visibility you want. So then it will actually tell you within the Grand Connection all the things you should be taking part in that will help you reach those goals. And a lot of people don't know, because we're running different collaborative campaigns all the time. There's the grand giveaway. We have new book launch shout outs. We do Black Friday special shout outs for members. We have the marketplace listings. I mean, I'm every time I talk to a member, I say, do you have that book in the listings? I don't think I see it in the listing. So they've forgotten, they're not remembering all the things that are there. So I know, and this is what happens in all of our business, where we realize that the value we have may not be understood by our potential clients too. So how do you communicate that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And that's number one, right? What's our messaging?
What's your messaging? And it's crazy, because if you don't have your messaging right, everything else will be wrong. Really, it's just, it's crazy to me.
The compass in the wrong direction. You're not
exactly.
the wrong island.
Yes, exactly. So what about number 5? It's about time for us to wrap. So let's hear number 5, and then we'll throw in a couple of bonuses, and y'all are going to get an amazing gift. So don't go anywhere.
Well, number 5 for me is working with people who aren't aligned with.
Nervous laughter. Oh, yes. 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 That's banana peel moment for me right now. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we'll have to talk about that offline, I
Yeah,
think.
we will. We won't talk about it right now. I'm just glad
Oh,
I have some legal
well, I'm
protection.
sure like once you've been in business for more than 30 years, you kind of had your,
You
there's
got a
been
few.
every type of person you've worked with, and you get to know who I want to attract
Yes.
for the right
Oh God,
clients.
Susan, I got to tell you something. Oh, it is so important. People talk about I want to create my ideal avatar description, and that's all good. Do it. Use chat. Do that shit. But also create one. My never want to work with client. I'm serious. Create your. I don't ever want to work with this person. This
And
type of person.
give him or her a name.
Give them a name like Gertrude
Or
or
you may have a name for them already because it's somebody in your
Schnitzel.
past, right? Yeah.
Give them a nice like Nazi name, because they're going to drive you crazy. They
Oh.
really are.
Well, I think about I'll just think of some examples from my New Earth marketing where I've been doing websites, but I get people who come to me and they tell me their horror stories of their last web developer. So those are people who weren't aligned with them. They either they didn't understand them. They didn't have the same work ethic, so they didn't get things done on time. Some of them go AWOL, so they just disappear and they don't know what's happened to them, and they've given them all this money ahead.
Yep.
So you want to make sure that you're really comfortable with the people you're going to work with.
You enjoy them.
Yes. And I mean, at the beginning, you sometimes take any client that comes around, but you start to learn and then you at least say, okay, I'm going to attract the right ones. How do we attract the right ones? Because you're niching your marketing, right? They're saying niche. So make that niche something that you want. And that's what you're trying to attract. Maybe you don't say no to some $10,000 project that's going to help you make your bank account. They're not quite the right client for you, but you start at least slowly over time bringing in those right ones. And a wrong client can really, it can drain you, right? It can be really tough. And
I would add to that also using this for hiring. So be really clear on what are the qualities of the people that you want to hire to be your tax preparer, to be your bookkeeper, to be your VA, etc. So important, not just who are you going to serve, but also who are you going to hire? Because when you get people who are in alignment values-wise, you can train them up in what they need to know. If there's software, I mean, you can give them whatever, you can get them up to date on that, but you can't instill them with a value. Like if they are just an asswipe and dishonest, they're not going to become honest and a joy to work with overnight.
And I look for people that really provide value that I want to work with in my team, like that are that aren't overcharging, they're all about, I can give a service. I love to help people. This is how I'm going to do it. And they charge a fair, reasonable price for what they do, but it's not some 10K program that's promising you things that they're not going to deliver on. I'm going to get you to 7 figures. And they push aggressive sales funnels and things that you don't need when you're just starting your business. And then you go, I'm signed up with so-and-so. They're the best. Well, maybe they're the best for this person, but they weren't aligned with you. They weren't aligned with your stage of business or your budget.
Yeah.
And maybe they're requiring you to do a whole bunch of time and other investments and other things at that time that you can't do. You have to do those incremental baby steps to get going.
Oh, Susan, you're speaking my language, because you know what? In my contract for my Make It Happen Mastermind, I tell my clients, it's written in there. If you want to invest in anything that is over $1,000, you agree to talk with Dr. Barnsley.
Oh, yeah.
Because I protect them. Yeah. Because what I found out is I had people invest. I'd invited them because I had extra tickets to something, and I had invested in a little program by a particular person, and they came and they enrolled. Some of them enrolled in this program that was close to $30,000, and it did not do what it said it would do. So from that moment, I decided to write it in there. And I pride myself on my Make It Happen Mastermind really being comprehensive. Like, it's very rare I'll send somebody to do something. Like, someone needed an affiliate program, so I sent them to someone to set that up, who was very reasonable and very good. Chuck Anderson. You know Chuck, right?
Yeah, I know Chuck. Yeah.
So
he's actually giving me advice on setting ours up too. So he's a great guy.
Yeah, and I had used him. I only recommend people and products and groups that I use. I do not do this thing where people are, let me just send out this person because I could make a commission, because my reputation's on the line. Anytime you're an affiliate with somebody, your reputation is on the line, and it's so essential. This is why you and I, Susan, remember I texted you about someone who was a little bit unusual, who showed up at an event, and I said, careful, careful with this person. We need to, we want to protect what we've built. We've spent so much time and energy building, and it is all about alignment. All right. Well, we have got to wrap, Susan. So I think I'm going to have you back. You did give them one bonus. We'll have to have you back to talk about the other ones. But I do want to give you an opportunity to share what you're going to gift them. And by the way, everyone, get out your pen or pencil or speak this into your send yourself a text, right? Go to bit.ly/free from Dr. B. DRB. Let me repeat it. bit.ly/free from Dr. B. And this is, drumroll please, this is where you get access to thousands and thousands of dollars of gifts from all the guests in over 120 episodes of the Bold Badass Business Show. We have e-courses, we have video courses, we have complimentary sessions, we have ebooks, we have templates, we have all sorts of stuff in there. And Susan is going to give something very special. So Susan, tell them what we're going to be putting into the freebie vault that's going to be available at bit.ly/free from Dr. B.
Okay, well, you're going to get access to a guest pass that allows you to come to 2 Grand Connection events as a guest. And you're also going to receive ahead our Grand Growth Workbook that we have. And it gives you, in the workbook, you have access to our AI GPT tool, which is going to be, it supports you in grand growth. I sort of talked about how we are helping people craft their grand plan, that will do that too. And I'm going to throw in, we have a beautiful workbook that just got completed on how to create a grand introduction. So we can add that there. Add in the Barnsley Brown badass intro into that book, I think. At the back.
I want to do it as a seminar for Grand Connection. Because that's where we really get, down and dirty and create something that somebody's going to be proud of.
I love those seminars, because when you work on your intro, you're not just working on something that you're going to use
it all the time.
You're going to use it all the time. And you have to think. You have to think, what do I do? What's the real essence of who I am, and how do I stand out? And what are other people going to gravitate towards?
And now with AI, you have to be different.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have such a compelling intro that somebody says, oh my God, are you kidding me? I want that. And they may not even know how you do it. The how is really not important. The how is not important, but it's the results that you offer. So yeah, Susan, we'll definitely have to talk about that. And yeah, it's so important and it's important to have several different versions, because you're going to morph it depending on who you're speaking in front of. So maybe you're in a group that, whatever, has a specific industry. You're going to want to make sure that you take and craft something that's more directed to their industry. If you're in a general business council meeting or whatever, you're going to have something that's going to appeal to a wide variety of industries. It's just so important to have a number of these up your sleeve, so that people who see you over and over aren't falling asleep when you talk. Just let's not put them to sleep.
And a little tip there: you don't have to have them up your sleeve. You can have them in a Google Doc.
Yes, you can. Right. I have one in a Google Doc.
You can access, and you can access it on your phone too when you're thinking about it. I've been at
but you could write it in Sharpie on your arm if you don't have a teleprompter, and nobody would ever know that you're reading it off your arm.
Except if you're in person, they might see it.
I'm thinking about Zoom meetings. I love it, Susan. You're always a lot of fun. Now, didn't you all love this episode? I know you did. So you need to comment. What are you taking away? What was your aha? Which of these marketing money wasters are you going to address because you realized, oh crap, I'm doing that? Let's hear how you're going to apply this. Don't be an internet voyeur. Don't be an internet peeping Tom or Thomasina. We want your comments, and share and love this episode, would you? So, Susan, it's been a blast having you here. Let me just ask you, what's one last short thing that you would say to everybody to keep in mind as they are marketing so they don't drain their brain and bank account? That's one last word of wisdom you'd like to give.
I would be part of a community where you can get feedback from other people before you make decisions that are going to be costly.
Yes. So you don't make the faux pas. You don't have the problems that they had.
You learn from other people around you, and you can get feedback and hear on everything you're doing. It's really powerful. When you're all alone, it's tough. You're trying things and you don't have the feedback, and you're just seeing what works and not. And it takes a long time, and you waste a lot of money. You may get there long term, but you get there so much faster in community.
And it's not fun. It's not fun to do it all by yourself. It's a burden. So give yourself support and accountability. Give yourself people who will do it with you, programs that are done with you so that you can emerge from it with an actual product or with an actual thing like your introduction that you're going to use. Susan, you have been a joy. Thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, make sure you go into the freebie vault at bit.ly/free from Dr. B and grab your complimentary guest passes and check out the Grand Connection. And I'm sure I will see you there. Again, it's one of my 3 favorite networking groups. So don't miss out. And those of you here with us today, maybe you're not feeling like a badass right now. Maybe you've had a hard week. Maybe you've had one of those people who is not in alignment with you and your business that you've been working with. But I know you're a badass because you've spent this time with us. So help us spread the word, share the Bold Badass Business Show, and we will look forward to seeing you next Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, right here. Thanks, Susan, and bye, everyone. To your badassery.
Have a